I guess you could call it episode 15 for this season. Nonetheless, we are here with a big Eagles pregame show against the Pittsburgh Steelers today. Should be a fun one. Should be interesting matchup. Obviously, a tough Pittsburgh Steelers team coming into Philadelphia today to take on our Philadelphia Eagles. That being said, guys, everybody that gets it, that is watching the show, get involved in the comments section on YouTube if you want to be shown on the screen here. If you want to give DSM Media a follow, you can find us on X at DSM_media. You can find myself at Scotty Drowned. That being said, guys, we're going to get right into this matchup. Yeah, man, maybe that's something I should do, start my show rapid. Put together like a nice little rhyme for each and every episode. But Martian, oh my goodness, I had forgotten. I had truly let that like fade out of my mind. This will give you some insight to where I was at with the Sixers, Martian. I'm done with them now. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding in a sense. Like, the season isn't necessarily over, but I just think like McCain was such like a positive light on the team. He was something that he was like the only thing that was going right on the Philadelphia 76ers. So now he tears this meniscus. He's going to be out indefinitely. It just feels like every single thing that could ever bring us happiness as a Sixers fan will be taken from us at some point this season. So you had Embiid breaking his sinus, like he broke his sinus, whatever. Yeah, man. I didn't know until last night either. I didn't even know during the game that he was having issues with his knee. From my understanding, he finished that game, right? No, maybe he didn't finish the game because we went down by double digits and they took the starters out at some point. But it is interesting to see how that kind of went under the scope on what, Saturday night or Friday night, I guess it was the last time they played the Pacers. That was he banged his head off the floor, fell really hard, and then obviously from there didn't hear anything about the knee. But that's just how Sixers fandom goes. Not even his head, not a concussion, no, torn meniscus because he banged his head off the floor. So yeah, you know what I mean, guys. I'm glad you brought that up, Martian, because that one had me down in the dumps yesterday when I found that out, because that is, once again, the only bright spot this season. But let's talk about the bright spots of the Birds, because that's what we're here for today. We're not here to talk Sixers, that is for sure. What up, HP, mother trucking Bird gang? Let's fly today. That's what it's all about. Fly, Eagles, fly, from the Scotty Talks NBA channel. Be sure to subscribe. Yes, I had to put my bird symbols in there. Get involved in the comments. That's the point there. That's what I'm trying to show you. That's how you get involved in the show. Go Birds. It's time to fly. You already know. Go Birds. Appreciate that, brother. Appreciate that. Mitchell and Ness. Doesn't really match the jersey, by the way. So if you guys are sitting here looking at the greens not matching, I don't give a fuck. I really don't care on game day. We got the black jersey on. Wanted to wear the AJ jersey today to show you where my allegiance lies. It's a big day for AJ. It's a big day for Jalen Hurts. It's a big day for these Birds. Let's get into the matchup. 10-3 Pittsburgh Steelers coming into the link today. Obviously, the Eagles 11-2. Last time I checked, it was a 5.5 6-point spread towards the Eagles' favor. Look at last week, some of the results. The Eagles obviously came away with a tight one against the Carolina Panthers at home, 22-16. Wasn't the best victory of this season, right? It wasn't the victory we leave with the highest confidence in this Eagles team, of course. In fact, it actually led to a week of speculation, turmoil, drama. From A.J. Brown's comments, Devontae Smith's comments, to Jalen Hurts having only 108 passing yards in this game, in this matchup. And you end this game in a situation where the Panthers are driving down the field and they have an opportunity to win in Philadelphia as a 3-10 team that they are this season. It was not a confidence building type of W. It was actually one of those, for my money, it was a 2023 type of W, or a Kansas City Chiefs-esque W from this season, where you kind of just get out of there by the skin of your teeth. Didn't play nearly close enough to the caliber that you expect from the Philadelphia Eagles. So for my money, guys, coming out of that game last week, the way this week felt talking about the Eagles and what was going on in-house with the Birds, it felt like a loss. To be quite frank with you, it felt like a week after a loss for me. Just the things that were being discussed about Jalen Hurts, the things that were being discussed about A.J. Brown, the drama that preceded, it felt like a loss. And in return, man, I think that is not the best thing that could have happened to this team, but it's a good thing that could have happened to this team to just kind of open their eyes. It was either going to be a situation like this where Jalen has a bad performance passing the football, and that opens their eyes and just drives them to play better, to fix these things at practice, or it would just be a loss, right? A loss with a couple turnovers and a bad day offensively, and that would open your eyes. So I'll take this one on the chin as a close W against a team that it shouldn't have been that close against. And I'll take that on the chin as a loss, just to serve as a purpose to drive this team forward towards improving. What's good, TR? Thank you for checking in, brother. Appreciate you. Hope everything is well this holiday season. Who's having a more cursed season? Eagles last year or Sixers this year? Man, I'm going to go with the Sixers, dude. I'm going to go with the Sixers because for my money last year, the Eagles, it wasn't so much injuries for me last year with the Eagles, if that makes sense. With the Eagles, it was just more like talent not living up to expectations. Now, you did have a stretch towards the end of the season where things were falling apart, where A.J. Brown had an injury that he had to go out with. Definitely impacted the team. Definitely, once you got to that playoff game against the Bucks, they were riddled with injuries, playing without multiple guys. So I do get it from that standpoint, but I don't know. I just look at that Eagles team as Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni, all involved, not living up to expectations. Whereas this Sixers team, some of it is guys like Caleb Martin, maybe not living up to expectations. Paul George, not fulfilling expectations of a max contract signing this offseason. But the injuries, right? You have two Paul George knee injuries to start the season. We haven't even played like 30 games yet. And we've had two Paul George knee injuries already. We've had Joel Embiid knee maintenance and Joel Embiid sinus fracture. We've had Tyrese Maxey hamstring injury. We have Caleb Martin forgetting how to shoot. Not only that, but now the back and hip injury. And now we get the Jared McCain torn meniscus, which is just like the icing on the fucking cake. Like, this was the bright spot without expectations that we had this season. Maybe we get a rookie of the year this year, amongst all of this turmoil and drama. Nah, he's going to tear his meniscus and miss probably the rest of this season. So I'm going to have to lean Sixers, TR. Long story short, I'm leaning Sixers are definitely the more cursed team in this situation. But let's look at the Eagles this year, nonetheless. I know it's hard to not give a little bit of attention to that Sixers drama, but let's focus on what we have at hand here. Get back to the Steelers and Eagles. So looking at this matchup, big things today. No George Pickens for the Pittsburgh Steelers. No Dallas Goedert for the Eagles. Probably the rest of this regular season. He'll should be back for the postseason, but even then, man, I've gotten to the point where I count on Dallas Goedert to kind of not be there in the sense. So don't get too comfortable even when he does come back, if that sounds better for you. It's very true. It's a fight in the battleground state. Nonetheless, the two most liberal cities in the state of Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, going at it today. So battleground that. Nonetheless, let's look at the matchups offensive and defensively here. So from the Eagles' perspective, just to give you some numbers via ESPN here, offensively for the Birds, passing offense, it's been talked about all week. 31st in the NFL, might be 32nd after last week. Maybe these numbers aren't updated. I've been seeing 32nd all week. Maybe it is the 31st. That's what ESPN's providing us. So in comparison to the 31st passing offense, we have the number 1 rushing offense. We have the number 8 scoring offense, and we have the number 7 overall offense. So that's how good the rushing attack balances out one of the league's worst passing attacks in the NFL, to the point where they still measure out as an overall 7th top 10 NFL offense this season. On the defensive side of things, even better. Passing defense, number 2 in the NFL. Rushing defense, number 8 in the NFL. Scoring defense, number 2 in the NFL. And overall, the number 1 defense in the NFL this season. That's the big surprise with this Philadelphia Eagles team, aside from Saquon just playing at an unreal level. This Philadelphia defense has proved to be for real. They are a good to great unit when they step out on that field, and right now measuring out to be the best defensive unit in the NFL. On the Pittsburgh side of things, give you a little perspective from their side. Passing offense, 23rd in the NFL. Rushing offense, number 9. So this is a top 10 rushing unit by the numbers. A top 10 scoring unit. They come in 10th there. And overall, they are the number 17 ranked offense in the NFL. So it's interesting, right? Like you look at the Eagles rushing offense, number 1. So 2 top 10 rushing offense. Eagles number 1, Steelers number 9. Eagles 31st passing offense. Steelers 23rd passing offense by the numbers. Yet the Eagles come in 10 spots ahead of the Steelers as overall offense measures in. So that's just an interesting standpoint. On the defensive side of things, obviously we know Pittsburgh has a good defense, but 17th in pass defense measures, 4th in rush defense, 5th in scoring, 7th overall ranked defense coming out of Pittsburgh this season. Now, to put that in perspective, they do have in-division rivals that they play twice a year in the Ravens, right? You have the Bengals who can put up numbers. So take a little bit of the numbers and the measurements here with a grain of salt. The Pittsburgh Steelers do have a great defense, even though the numbers say it's not as good as the Philadelphia Eagles. They do have a great defense. So stacked up on paper, statistically, these teams are very, very even matched for my money. They match up really well against each other. So keys to victory. We're going to go full on Eagles perspective rest of the way. Enough of the Steelers talk. We don't care how they feel or what they need. This is about the Birds and what they need to do to win this game. My first key to victory coming into this matchup, guys, is stopping the run. I mentioned the Steelers. They have a top 10 rushing unit. Now, when I look at their 2 running backs that they use primarily, you have Najee Harris and you have, is it Jalen Warren? Jay Warren? I usually call him Jay, but it may be Jalen. Nonetheless, he's the more versatile back, right? Gets involved in the passing game a little bit more, but he can run the football. He's pretty physical. Najee Harris is just that brute force running back. You're gonna feel him when he's running the football. So they do have a nice balance there, but they don't have any guys back there that just put fear in my heart to break off a big one and just totally open the Philadelphia defense up. So that's why I need the Eagles defense to lock in, shut down the run today. You can't let Najee Harris pop off for 4 yards per carry or Jalen Warren 3.5 yards per carry. Shut down the run, force the Pittsburgh Steelers to become one-dimensional on the offensive side of things. You look at the other perspective, I said we're going to ignore this. What are they going to try to do? They're going to try to do the same thing, make Jalen Hurts beat them. That's what we're going to do today with Russell Wilson, except they don't have George Pickens today. They don't have their A.J. Brown. Take that with a grain of salt. They don't have their number 1 wide receiver today. So force Russell Wilson to beat you without George Pickens. I bring this up only because the Eagles, they struggled a little bit against the run against the Panthers. put it into perspective. I mean, Chuba Hubbard had over 20 carries, ended up with like 90 plus rushing yards, a touchdown, only 3.5 yards per carry. I think as a team, they had 3.5 yards per carry they averaged last week against the Eagles. So let's get back to normal. Let's shut that shit down, force Russell Wilson to beat you. And once again, lock in on against the run here. The number 2 key to victory here. Hey, that's not a bad idea. A ladder. I am all over the AJ Brown touchdown today at plus 120. So, not a bad idea, man. After the drama this week, right? But number 2 key to victory here. Talked a lot about the passing game this week with Jalen Hurts. Talked a lot about the deficiencies or the concerns of this Philadelphia Eagles football team. You have to make the most of the passing opportunities today. And I think that's a key way to phrase it, because the other side of the discussions this week is not stepping out of your identity, right? Don't step away from running the football with Saquon Barkley. He's about to break Eric Dickerson's record for rushing all time in one season. So don't break away from your identity. You are a run-first football team, and that's okay. But you have to be efficient. You have to make the most of the passing opportunities that Jalen Hurts gets today, whether that's 15 passing attempts today, 25 passing attempts today. You have to make the most of them. And I expect Jalen Hurts to do that. Don't overdo it. That's the key. Don't overdo it. We don't need to have Jalen out here throwing 30, 35 plus times this week just to prove something. You do it as needed. This is the number 17 pass defense. If there's one weakness on that Pittsburgh defense, it's their pass defense. What is the initiative, once again, that Pittsburgh is going to try to implement today? Shut down Saquon Barkley and make Jalen Hurts beat you. I imagine they're going to bring pressure for Jalen. They're going to try to confuse Jalen today. That's going to be a lot of the game plan. I think a key thing here with just making the most of the passing opportunities today for Jalen, get him in a rhythm early. We talk about the struggles early on in the first quarter this season. It's a thing. It is happening. Like, it is a problem. They start these games tremendously slow on the offensive side of things. And luckily, the defense for the last couple of weeks have been able to get them through these waves, right? That these other teams are coming in at the beginning of games, right? You look at that Baltimore game a few weeks back, 9-0 start for Baltimore. It could have been 21-0. It could have been 10-0. It could have been 13-0. It could have been 16-0 if Justin Tucker's hitting his kicks, if he's normal that day. You have to get off to a hot start at some point in this season. It can't just be every game that the first, 4 drives that you're scripting up to start games just aren't working at all. This is a great defense you're going against, but still, there's no excuses. Come out, get Jalen some easy throws early, a couple slants to AJ, slants to Devontae Smith. Easy. Maybe a short throw to Saquon out of the backfield. Easy. A dump off to Grant Calcaterra early. Easy. Get him some easy completions early. Get him in a rhythm. And I think that's something different that we've been doing than what we've been doing all season. They've came out and they've tried to throw the ball early, but they take these deep shots. I don't want to see that early. I want to see rhythm building early. Maybe it's a short throw to Smitty on first down, then a run with Saquon, then another short throw to whoever's open on third. You know what I'm getting at. I want to build rhythm here. I don't want to see us take a deep shot to get A.J. Brown in the end zone to start the game. It would be nice. It would be exciting. It would build momentum. It would have me out of my seat. But I don't think it's what's best for the offense moving forward. You need to find a rhythm in the passing game. Today's a good opportunity to do so. That is the weakness within that Pittsburgh defense. So that was kind of 2 keys in one. Get off to an early start, an early hot start, and make the most of your passing opportunities. Plus 145 on Hard Rock. Nice. I did get it at plus 120, but Let's just double check DraftKings here. This is the A.J. Brown touchdown that we're talking about here. Come on. A.J. Brown. Let's see what the juice is looking like. Yeah, so A.J. Brown's still plus 120 on DraftKings. I mentioned this on Turf Talk, D-Rab. Devontae Smith is interesting today, too. Because I say Steelers going to have a ton of attention on Saquon Barkley, obviously out of the backfield. Shutting him down is going to be a main priority. The Steelers aren't oblivious to what's transpired in Philadelphia this last week. They know the passing offense is going to have emphasis and focus on it today. There's going to be a lot of pressure, quite honestly, that comes with each and every passing opportunity today. They're going to put some focus on A.J. Brown for sure. A lot of the time, you just can't stop him. He's just too good, similar to Saquon Barkley. But I think there will be room for Devontae Smith today. And maybe A.J. does take, a double team in the red zone, and it leaves Smitty open for an opportunity at plus 200. It's not bad for a sprinkle. Jalen Hurts minus 120 for the anytime touchdown score. That's always a good play, of course. Yeah, he definitely did. I think he'll be going against Joey Porter Jr. this week, so be interesting. Joey Porter Jr. is solid, but once again, A.J. Brown is class in the NFL, of course. Third and final key to victory here is going to be the turnover battle. This gets repetitive week to week, of course. I think the turnovers are going to mean more in a game like this. I think there could be one or two in this game. And I think they could be deciding factors in the game. I think clean football is going to be a big thing today with both of these opportunistic and good and aggressive defenses. Good morning, Brian. There's always some truth in what you say. I will give you that. I think you take the Jalen hate a little far. I think you take the Joel Embiid hate a little far, but there is truth in everything that you comment on this show. I will give you that, Brian. Good morning. Says if Jalen can throw a football, we win. Simple. Steelers defense gets turnovers. Hopefully our defense does as well. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at, Brian. Like, I could see a fumble here today, for example, which would be very annoying, which is on Jalen, to your point, because that pocket awareness is going to be huge today. They're going to bring pressure. Pressure Russ, man. Like I said earlier, stop the run. That's the first key to victory. You stop the run. You put the Steelers in more turnover opportunistic situations, right? And that's what I want to see with the Eagles defense today. Get some pressure on Russ, get in his face, and let him take some of those deep shots down the field. Let's see if Quinyon can finally get an interception this season. I do think he has a great opportunity today to get an interception with Russ coming into the link. But I do feel you on this comment, Brian. Obviously, I feel a little differently about Jalen Hurts. I'm a little more confident in him than you are, but no George Pickens is huge in this matchup for me. It's just an X factor. You take George Pickens out of the equation, that means the defense can now focus on another facet of the Steelers' offense to try to shut down. And I think that facet is the run game. And I think if you shut that down, the Steelers are going to have some issues offensively today. But it's easier said than done. Obviously, stopping a team's run game, a top 10 rush offense, we shall see. But just to rerun through the keys to victory for today, we have stop the run as the number one here, as I've mentioned several times. So I forgot to share this show out on Twitter. Let me share this out really quick. Forgot about this at the beginning. There we go. All right. So stop the run, first key to victory here. Obviously, make the Pittsburgh Steelers offense one-dimensional. Number two, make the most of the passing opportunities. To Brian's point here, might only be 15, 16 passing opportunities, might be 19, 20. You need to make the most of them. It's not about throwing the ball 25, 30 times today. It's about making the most of your opportunities when you do throw the ball today. Brian says, but if we lose, it's going to be because of Jalen Hurts. We have the advantage almost everywhere except quarterback. Yeah. That is ultimately where we agree today, Brian. And I don't think the Steelers have the advantage at quarterback with Russell Wilson from my perspective, but it's maybe the closest when you look at the comparisons. Like, our backfield's better than their backfield. Our wide receivers' weapons are better than their weapons. Our offensive line's better than their offensive line. Our defense, even statistically, is better than their defense. It is kind of on Jalen today for my money. Now, I was going to say if Saquon, goes out and does it, but that once again, it just points to Jalen. I was kind of backtracking there, but yeah, I think the only way you do lose is if Jalen maybe not even has a bad game, but just has like a middle of the road game, like, a turnover and less than 200 passing yards and inefficient with his passing attempts. It's about not missing that read when it's AJ's number. Yeah, when AJ's streaking down the field fucking wide open, you got to see it. And you got to let it fly, quite frankly. Our QB is 10 times better than Russ right now. Russ, I do agree. Like, let me put that out front here. I think Jalen Hurts is better than Russell Wilson. Russ is playing some decent football this season with the Steelers, though. Without George Pickens, it's going to get testy. But I just want to take a look at Russ's last few games here. Give me 1 second. So in the season, 12 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. It's a good ratio. So obviously the game against the Bengals, he went the fuck off. 414 yards, 3 touchdowns. That was his best game this season. Last week against Cleveland, 158, 15 for 26, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. So he's not turning the ball over. That's the big thing for Russ. And I guess you could say the same thing about Jalen right now. Jalen needs to show me something today, man. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I hate when we like overreact to some of the deficiencies or some of the lack of numbers that Jalen presents, but this is a prove it game. This is a stick your chest out and show me something game for Jalen Hurts today. So prove that you're 10 times better. Yeah, this is something that's going to be talked about as we get closer to the postseason, Brian, but kicker is like a major fucking concern. Like, I need to see something down the stretch from Jake Elliott this week to give me some fucking confidence. Not this week, but the rest of this season. I need to see some consistency here. Martian, you brought it up the other day. I see you in the comment down below there. You brought it up the other day, the concerns with Jake Elliott. It's very true. If you do not feel comfortable, 40 plus, I'm feeling suspect. I was going to say 45 plus, but 40 plus, honestly, in a non-dome, like outside conditions, I'm worried. I'm worried about Jake Elliott. And yes, he can make it, but he can also very well miss it. And it's very similar to like Justin Tucker, man. Justin Tucker's obviously a Hall of Fame kicker, but a Hall of Fame kicker, is that a thing? Is there Hall of Fame kickers? There's got to be, right? Got to give some respect to the position. But I don't know, man. I had a ton of confidence in Jake Elliott coming into this season, but as the season goes on, it's just very random when he misses too. And I think that's worse. It's not like any particular setting in which he misses, like high pressure situation he's missing, right? Like, it's not even like that. It's completely random. It could be at the beginning of the game he's missing a field goal. It could be 41 yards he's missing the field goal. I don't know. I don't have a ton of confidence in Jake Elliott right now. Says he'll take Jalen 20 times over Russ. Yeah, and age does come into perspective. I think Russ and Jalen are very, very similar in a lot of ways. Russ just a lot older now. He is, and so is Jalen. Not this version of Jalen. He looks like Josh Freeman right now. The only thing with Jalen, man, is those sacks. They call them coverage sacks, but nah, man, just use your legs, get out of the pocket, and throw the fucking ball away, man. That is the one thing that I cannot deal with Jalen in that pocket. Testy, yeah. Russ is playing like how we need Jalen to play. That's a good way to put it. Quite honestly, it's a great way to put it. Martian says no cape. Yeah, man. I've had to take the cape off this week. I think a lot of people are overreacting, as I've said all week. But I had to take the cape off this week because we can't like come out here and try to like sell to people that like Jalen is playing like great football right now. He's playing like middle of the pack football right now for my money after last week at least. Chris Boswell, probably the best kicker in the NFL right now. Yeah, he's been balling. That's how Pittsburgh has won a ton of games this year is with their kicker's leg. So I believe there's a couple games they've won where they've only kicked field goals. So yeah, Chris Boswell is on right now. Hunter going at Brian a little bit here. Let's read this. Brian hating on my guy Hurts like he the Antichrist. He does what's asked of him. He gets crucified when he is not perfect. When he makes clutch plays to put us back in games, we just forget. That's fair as well. That is fair as well. That's the other side of it, not overreacting because he does make clutch plays. He makes clutch throws. But he does need to be better at the same time. And to the point of this comment, I do also wonder, I've seen a lot thrown out about it. Dan Orlovsky, I don't trust him 100%, but he threw out there that this offense may simply just not be, it may be a very simple offense. It's not that complex when it comes to the routes that the receivers are running. Is that a testament to Jalen and decision-making or lack thereof? I don't know. Is it Jalen? Is it coaching? It's hard to say. It is hard to say. Yeah, that's the point, Martian. It could be an extra point that Jake misses. He's that inconsistent. Time and time again, Hurts comes up big for us. Eagles hurting without Hurts to be Super Bowl competitive team. Yeah, I agree with that as well. I don't think Hurts is like holding us back, if that makes sense. Would you rather I call him EJ Manuel over Josh Freeman? Vegas got to the kickers this year. Yeah, there aren't a ton of great kickers this year, guys. It feels like just about everyone's off. Even is it Evan McPherson out there in Cincinnati? He was like one of the renowned kickers. He's struggled this year. Harrison Butker's been injured. Yeah, not a great year for kickers. If the offense is rolling, go for it. Yeah, that's kind of where we are, man. And that's what we saw in that game against Carolina. And I think Carolina, you get away with punting there. But against Patrick Mahomes, against Lamar Jackson, like a great quarterback, a good offense, I don't know if you punt that ball back to them last week, man. I think you might go for it and try to keep the ball in your offense's hands. But highly depends on what the offense is looking like that day, what the defense is looking like that day. If Jalen is off, don't risk it. Yeah. The only thing with that, man, is we've seen that Jalen could be off for an entire first half, and then in the second half turns it on, specifically in the fourth quarter can turn it on. But I do want to see them get Jalen in a rhythm early. Interesting perspective, Brian. Like, if that's what it takes to get Jalen in a rhythm early, I'm with it. Like, get Saquon going. If you're having success, definitely. Let's see 3 runs. But I also, main thing, I just don't want to see like this immediate deep shot to A.J. Brown just to like please A.J. Brown to like answer the call from the passing perspective. That's not how you answer the call, in my opinion. I think you answer the call with getting Jalen in a rhythm, short, easy throws, AJ on a slant, Smitty on a slant, using the middle of the field in the passing game. I think that's how you get Jalen in a rhythm and really get this offense going. But interesting perspective here. Yeah, Josh Freeman, the EJ Manuel, those are getting me. Can we do like the Tebow comparison at least? Like can we just like have like can we call him like Tim Tebow? I would prefer that. Like Tebow at least wins football games. I think Jalen Hurts is far better than Tim Tebow, by the way, but Jalen's dog wash right now. Jalen needs to decide quicker. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Holding the ball in the pocket, taking those indecisive sacks is what I'll call them because he can't make a decision. We're Philly fans. Either we overreact or we are negative. You know how it is. Yeah, very, very true. Key for Steelers, put Jalen on his back early. Sure, yeah. Bring some pressure for sure. Same thing with Russ, though. Put him on his back. Shut down the run, make their offense one-dimensional. I think it's very similar perspective-wise for both teams when it comes to keys to victory today. It's very straightforward when you got teams like this. No, Jalen Hurts is playing mediocre. I don't quite like glazing when it's not necessary. That's a fair perspective. I do think you hate on him, Brian. I think you like do some hating, but I agree. We don't need to glaze either. We don't need to act like he's playing like great football. Kenny Pickett revenge game. Yeah, please save me. Jalenite. That is a hilarious term that I have not seen yet. That is hilarious. That is hilarious, Brian. Who gets more glazed, Jalen or Kendrick Lamar? Custard. That is hilarious. The chat is booming today. The chat is booming. We got guys going at guys. Jalen really doesn't worry me. Yeah, I don't think it's Jalen that worries me. Is a worry and a concern, it's the same thing, right? Concern just sounds better than worry to me. I don't know why. That's probably something deeper that we could get into at another time. But it's not that Jalen is necessarily the concern, just because I'm misconstrued on where the lack of rhythm comes from with the passing offense. It's the passing offense that concerns me. I'm concerned that the passing offense is very simple in the way it's constructed, in the routes that the receivers are being asked to run. I'm worried that it's very simple in the decisions that we ask Jalen to make, the lack of options that may be available. But no. You call him Josh Freeman. I think he's better than Josh Freeman, is what I'm trying to say, Brian. Like, I'm trying to reason with you today. I am. Because I see this. I keep it 10 toes down with the QB while the Jalenites keeps his 10 toes up. Bro, I agree. He hasn't played great, but I'm just not one to act like he is the worst thing. Yeah. It's a good way to put it. It's a concern I feel, though, because Sirianni and Moore said he has 100% last call at line of scrimmage this year. True. Very true. A lot more control at the line of scrimmage. Take what the defense gives you. Yeah. Relaxing music. We might need some relaxing music after this game, guys, because it could be a very, very good one. It's a very good matchup. Fair. They thought he was the franchise QB down there in Tampa Bay. Can we just call him Carson Wentz then? I guess Carson Wentz. He was injury prone, I guess. 13 minutes to put any 1 o'clock slips in. Yeah, I'm already locked in for the 1 p.m. Slate. D-Rab. So I don't got anything else to put in, but my best bets from earlier Turf Talk: KC -4 against Cleveland, -112. Cincinnati -5.5 against the Titans is -108. Those were my two favorite plays from the 1 p.m. slate. Some other ones I did like. I do like the over in the Dallas and Carolina game though, over 43. Both of those defenses are horrible. Yeah, Martian, that's something I talked about on Turf Talk, man. They should have the Eagles game at 1 p.m. Quite honestly, it's an East Coast game. It should be at 1 p.m. against the Steelers. That way we could watch Eagles versus Steelers at 1 p.m., Bills Lions at 4, and then Seahawks Packers at 8. That makes the most sense, but I'm not sure what the idea was here to put, the two best games of the weekend at the same time. It's very odd. Not a huge Hurts guy, but he's at least Jason Campbell. Jason Campbell, God, you guys are bringing these names out of the woodworks. Byron Leftwich was spot on. No Martian. No Martian. It's on Fox from the look of it. Fox. So Channel 5. Is it still Channel 5? I don't know. Fox 5. Don't have cable anymore. Just stream. Need a Jake Hader masterclass. The funny thing is, Hurts is a less fat McNabb. Oh my God. Oh my God. Is this a real thing? Is this a real thing? I actually love that comparison, man. I really do. And just to be clear, man, I was a big McNabb guy growing up. Now, I look back at my younger self and I wonder, like, was McNabb like that good? Like, to become a fan of the Philadelphia Eagles because of him? Like, was he that good? I don't know. He never had like the right weapons outside of that TO year, in my opinion. He had Brian Westbrook, some other mentionable guys, but nothing crazy. Okay, Brian. So it's funny, man. It's funny because McNabb caught a lot of hate when he was in his prime, though. So that's why I'm kind of wondering, like, what would the discussion be around McNabb in today's media era, but the same McNabb, right? The same Eagles like timeline, but just today. I'm curious, but that is when I became a fan. Yeah, you are right. His best wide receiver was a running back outside of the year with T.O. And we saw what he did with T.O. He went straight to the fucking Super Bowl. So, yeah, McNabb was my guy. Hurts is a lot more reliant on running the football than I would say McNabb is. Hurts is like legitimately a dual threat quarterback, whereas McNabb was more just a scramble if I need to get some extra time to make a play. He was more of that type. Yeah, he was throwing to Kevin Curtis. Hank Basket. Oh my God, he was on the he was married to that Playboy bunny, Kendra something. And he was on that show, Hank Basket. That he was more well known for the Playboy bunny wife than his actual play. He was like a special teams guy. Hey, this is what I mean, Brian. You are a next level. I don't even know if we can call it hating because it's so good. The way you word it, you're very good. I don't know if this is what we would classify as trolling. I guess it would. But it's like it makes me laugh, even though I disagree. It makes me laugh. According to Brian, Hurts is a solo threat QB regardless. Solo threat. Is Hank Basket the one who effed up the onside kick for the Colts? Yeah. I think that's why special teams came to mind when Hank Basket was brought up. Chaos. Oh, man. That being said, let's get into predictions and get out of here, guys, before the 1 p.m. slate kicks off here. I don't want to disrupt your football viewing pleasure. I imagine you all would leave anyways once 1 p.m. hits. predictions for the game today. Offensively, player of the game, right? It has to be Jalen Hurts, in my opinion. I think the Steelers will lock in, try to shut down Saquon Barkley. Now, that being said, we thought the same thing with the Ravens. Ravens were hoisting up the number one rushing defense in the NFL going into that matchup in Baltimore. The Eagles were able to run the football at will. They were able to do what they wanted to there. Struggled a little bit offensively in the first half of that game, but nonetheless finished the game strong with Saquon Barkley. For some reason, even though the Steelers aren't statistically as good as the Ravens from a rush defense standpoint, I feel like they have not feel they definitely have the overall better defense, which I just think they're going to be able to come up with a better game plan to maintain Saquon Barkley. It doesn't mean shut him down, but maintain him. So I think Hurts is going to have to come out and have a day, and by a day, man, it's like I said earlier, it's making the most of the opportunities. 200 passing yards. I'm not saying we need 300 passing yards from Hurts today. Even 250. Give me 200 plus passing yards today. Give me 200 plus passing yards. Give me 2 passing touchdowns. Give me 1 rushing touchdown. No turnovers. And the Eagles win this game today. I truly, truly believe that. Nah, we all behind Jalen today. We know what we need from him. HP. It's not fuck Jalen. It's not that, man. Just play better, Jalen. That's all. Brian says, unfortunately, he's got the Steelers winning with a late Russ field goal drive. I got all Jalen Hurts unders, including below. Oh man, below 100. If he ends up with below 100 passing yards today and the Eagles lose, I mean, you thought this week was crazy after win. All hell will break loose in the city of Philadelphia if this happens, man. If this happens, it could happen. It could happen if Jalen's not better than what he was last week. I think he will be better. See? But this is the stuff that will be talked about if that happens. Under 100 passing yards. Yeah. I am the same way, Chris. It's just that I think Jalen will have to have a good game to win this game. Yeah, we are tomorrow, HP. Hopefully it's a victory Monday. We are going to revisit a lot of these talking points. Yeah, if Jalen is under 100 passing yards, we may see the TO come out of AJ this week, but I don't see that coming, man. I think Jalen is going to have a day. I think he's going to be the offensive player of the day. I do think he gets AJ involved today as well. Defensively, player of the game candidates I'm looking at. I did mention Quinyon maybe gets his first pick today. But I do think Zach Bond, Nakobe Dean, those are the guys that I'm looking at today to kind of hold the fort. Tackling is going to be key against guys like Najee Harris, Jalen Moore, and shutting down the run, which was the first key to victory for me here today. Go out there, be sure tacklers, control the run game, keep the run game in check. And just do what you've been doing all season. These guys have been sturdy. They've been one of the best linebacking duos in the NFL, quite honestly. Zach Bond has been all over the football field making plays. So just continue to do that today. And maybe just get me 1 turnover between the 2 of you guys. Figure it out. One of you guys get me a turnover today, whether it's an interception, fumble recovery, whatever the case may be. I'm looking at Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean to make some plays. Yeah, this is if I had to pick one thing that worried me coming into this game, it would be Pat Freiermuth on crucial third downs, getting the Steelers off the field. Hopefully, Cooper DeJean, right? He's going to need to have a better day today. I'm not saying he's going to guard Pat Freiermuth, but just holding down that slot receiver and locking them up today. Obviously, he struggled against Adam Thielen last week, but Reed Blankenship. Could somebody update me? Is Reed Blankenship in today? I actually did not check that before the game. My phone died here, so I cannot look that up. Well, let me just see. Is Reed Blankenship playing today? Let's see. Is expected to play. Reed Blankenship expected to play today, so I imagine he'll see some time on Freiermuth. Zach Bond, Nakobe Dean, they'll probably see some time on the tight end today as well. So definitely a matchup to keep an eye on here. Give me Cooper DeJean house call punt return. I like that. That would be obviously a game changer today. All that being said, let me go ahead and give you my predictions, and we'll get out of here. Game prediction, that is. I give you my offensive, defensive player of the week candidates. But as far as an overall game prediction, I do have the Eagles winning this game, 27-20. As you can see, I do have them going over the total over, which was set at 42.5 or 43 for this game. Both of these defenses, very, very sturdy, but I do think the offenses will put up some points today. I think this is a big matchup. I think these offenses show up today and get some points on the board against two very sturdy defenses, quite honestly here. 27-20, one-score game. Eagles get up around what they've been touching for most of the season. Pittsburgh Steelers get into the 20s, something that a lot of teams haven't been able to do against the Birds this season. Overall, I think it'll be a close game, but Eagles pull away towards the end. Similar to what they've been doing all season, man. If you can make a few key throws early on in this game, it's going to open up the run game for Saquon in the second half, and he'll be able to finish this game strong. Best bets for the game. Brian, you're going to love this one. You're going to love this one. It's my first best bet today. Jalen Hurts over 196.5 passing yards. I know you're taking the under. I'm taking the over here at minus 115. I do like Hurts to go over 200 plus passing yards today. I think it's what it's going to take to compete and ultimately try to go out and win this game today. So Hurts over 196.5 passing yards at minus 115. As D-Rab mentioned earlier in the show, I'm not going to go find that comment. D-Rab mentioned it earlier in the show, talked about an A.J. Brown touchdown ladder. I think it's interesting. You look at the matchup he had against the Steelers. 2 years ago was the year we went to the Super Bowl 2023. I believe he had 2 or 3 touchdowns in that matchup with the Steelers. So touchdown ladder. I just like the A.J. Brown 1 touchdown today at plus 120 on DraftKings. He made himself heard, and I think he's going to get rewarded for doing so. You saw with my game total, I like the total over 43. D-Rab, A.J. Brown, Tutty. Let's get it. Total over 43. You saw with my score prediction. I think these two teams will get into the 20s each. And then Philadelphia minus 5.5. Answer the call, man. This is a big game at home. Take care of business against a depleted Pittsburgh team. When you look at George Pickens missing from that offensive unit, go out here and win another big game. Answer the call, pass the test once again, guys. But those are going to be my best bets for the week. Philly minus 5.5 at minus 110. Total for the game over 43 at minus 108. A.J. Brown touchdown plus 120. And Hurts over 196.5. Passing yards at minus 115. All on DraftKings. Definitely go enjoy the 1 p.m. slate. We got some bangers today. Enjoy, guys. And I will see you guys tomorrow, hopefully on a Victory Monday. As always, guys, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for getting involved in the comments. If you're not already subscribed on YouTube to the DSM Media Philly channel, please do so. Turn the notifications on so you're notified each and every time we go live. You can find us on X at DSM_media. You can find myself at Scotty Drown. That is it for this episode of Eagles Pregame Live. Go, motherfucking Birds.